This video has been sponsored by TapTap Send. Sending money to Nepal has never been easier. With TapTap Send, enjoy great rates, zero transfer fees, and lightning fast transfers. Up to 90% of transfers are completed within first 5 minutes. That's right, download TapTap today using our link below and start sending money the smart way. Look at that, guys, tap, 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 and the money is sent.
Since my parents, when I was like 4 years old, I told them that that's when I was like, I want to do music, like music. So they got me like a piano teacher. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, and they, oh, I'm gonna cry. They paid for like this piano teacher, and they paid him like $10 for like to give me lessons, and yeah, like I would like I would like complain, and I was just like, I don't know, but I'm just so. Yeah, so like for the first six years of my life, I was like learning how to do piano, and like they were giving me lessons from this guy who would like just like love to teach. And my parents just, they knew that I loved it. And I was just such a brat, like ew, I was such a brat.
I think you shouldn't even feel anything like that, because I grew up in Nepal to like I mean, you know, most of my life. But because actually in schools, like a lot of private schools, they push English so much.
Right.
We had a fine for talking in Nepali. Like in where I was in St. Mary's, it's like a Catholic school, you know. And they push Nepali so hard, English so hard that it's almost like shaming for talking in your own language. So my Nepali was like so much worse than my other friends in China when I studied their first architecture. They used to make fun of me so much. They used to be like, you don't know, like it was like such a joke. So I get like, you know, it's not even, don't feel like that, because I think it's almost a cultural thing.
A lot of times I hear this, like, you know, even Nepali people say, like, once people go to America, they just like hold on to their Nepali identity and they try to treat it as like a bad thing. But the fact that America is a melting pot of all cultures, everybody has their own story and roots. So when you represent yourself at a school, a lot of times, especially at Berklee, where nobody knew any other Nepali person, and every time I said, hi, I'm Astha and I'm from Nepal, all the professors would be like, I've never met anybody from Nepal.
Right. So, hi, my name is Parijita. I was born and raised in Millersville, Maryland. I sing predominantly like cinematic pop and R&B music, and I'm in the second semester at Berklee, and I'll be majoring in independent recording and production.
Namaste, I'm Sanyamita. I'm from Kathmandu, Nepal. I mainly sing and produce traditional Nepali and pop indie music. I am currently studying independent recording and production at Berklee and graduating soon this May.
Hi, I'm Astha Shrestha, aka Astha Zyla, aka Z. I was born in Nepal and I was raised in Maryland, USA, and I currently reside in Boston, and I have been for over 10 years now. I am a full-time musician, and I'm also the marketing director at the Boston Jazz Foundation. And I am an artist, and I produce and sing R&B, jazz, pop, and funk. And I'm also currently trying to create an avant-garde style mix of Western and Nepali music. And I went to Berklee in 2017, but I only went for 2 semesters because I was already doing music at the time. And at the time, I studied vocal performance. Hi friends! So journey towards Berklee, this is actually a quite interesting one. My family didn't support the fact that I was doing music, so I didn't tell my family that I was applying to Berklee. I did on the auditions on my own. I only told my family once I got in. So I got into Berklee at 18, but because my dad didn't support the fact that I was doing music, and my family history is quite complicated. So in America, you need both your parents up until the age of 24 to co-sign for you. So I wasn't able to go to Berklee at 18 because of that, although I got in. But then at the age of 24, I was able to do it all on my own. So finally, I attended Berklee at 24 in 2017. So my journey to music didn't start at Berklee. I packed up everything and I moved to Boston. And I stayed in Boston all the way up till then. So I was already working as a full-time musician by the time I attended Berklee.
Right.
So that was my journey. What about you guys?
Incredible. For me, I was already a working architect in China. I was working, and I was playing. Also, I was gigging, of course, because doing music is a hobby. Do something, a real career. So I got my architecture degree. I was working, and then a person that I was gigging with was a Berklee alumni, and he was like, "You should totally go to Berklee." And he helped me train for like the auditions. While I was at work, like in the lunchtime, I would call him and he would train me. And then I auditioned, and I didn't tell my parents anything because I was so scared.
Yeah.
And then after I got in, I told my dad, and he was like, "Oh, okay." So, and they were actually pretty supportive, thankfully. So then, I actually started when I was 27. Which is crazy, but yeah.
I'm so sorry. I walked into my house because my family didn't know that I had either applied, I got in. I was 18. I was the first Nepali woman to ever go to get accepted to Berklee. So I thought they would be happy.
Right.
But the first thing my dad was like, music, it's for people who can't do math and science. You're intelligent. It's for dumb people. So if you're intelligent, you're so intelligent that I'm not going to support you doing music. And I just was like, oh, and I packed all my shit in a truck, and then I moved to Boston. Sorry.
Crazy,
Yeah. What about you, Perry?
Well, I was born in the U.S., so I already kind of had this like Western influence of my friends who like were doing music and were pursuing music, and they had dreams to go to Berklee. So I felt like I had a community of people who were like, it is a career, who were telling me, like I had teachers in school telling me, this is something that you can pursue. And I think from a young age, like I told my parents, I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. And I think because that conversation started earlier, that I had the privilege of starting that conversation earlier. By the time I was 18, the only school I applied to was Berklee. And like the time I was applying to Berklee was while I was on The Voice. And it was like during the live shows. And I was like so late actually like to submit it. I almost like forgot to submit. Yeah. And at that moment too, like I was so wrapped up with like the pizzazz of like live, like a national television show, that I was like, do I even need to go to Berklee? Da, 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 da. And I reminded myself that like education is like worth more than something that is like, a TV show. Yeah. Like a TV show felt big and it was big, but they have new seasons. Like it's not really gonna like catapult the career that I thought that it was going to. But it was a wonderful way of sending me off to college because it like gave me professional experience. And so I felt like I could go into school knowing something, whether even if it wasn't like technical music theory, I like professional world, like I just had an experience.
You had on-field experience, yep.
Yeah, and like it's a boot camp. Like I literally am living in the same hotel with like all the other contestants. So it's like a little like mini college. It really felt like that's how the way we joked about it. So yeah, I didn't feel like coming to college wasn't as of a scary experience, I think, after doing something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure that people who do go to Berklee never get a chance to have that experience. That's quite a big deal. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Why music? I think that's one of the things. Like, why?
Especially like, I think that's so inspiring that like you were an architect, you had a job line, and then you challenged your idea of like, what does it mean to like be happy in my career, that you still allowed yourself to like find that for yourself.
Yeah.
You proved to your parents, they're like, okay, now I'm officially an architect, so now I'm going to go do
what I want.
It was like, I have a safety net, so I'm going to go do this now. And they were like less against it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but music, I think for all of us, maybe, but like from a young age, we knew that that's what we wanted.
Right.
I always knew that's what I wanted. And it's funny because my parents used to put me in these pageants and shows, and I performed on live TV when I was 7, and like stuff like that. But then when you grow up, they were like, no, like that was more like, I'm scared. It's just scary for them, and I understand. Maybe as a parent, they're like, I don't want you to have to struggle. And so after I did that, I was always gigging. I was always performing all the time. And when I got a job, I wasn't able to do that anymore because it was so demanding. Like my job was so demanding, and first year in China, the work ethic is like, you gotta stay till like 2 a.m. and still show up at 8 a.m. and there's no extra pay. It was crazy, so I had no time for music at all.
Yeah.
And I realized, I was like, oh my God, this is not, I can't live with that. Like,
You're
I
not
have
happy.
to have music. I have to have music somehow in my life. And then my friend came along, and thankfully,
Right.
yeah.
I think also women have to work extra hard to like prove themselves.
Yeah.
Of like when it comes like being like stable or like stability, financial stability, like to my parents, especially, like I feel like we have to work a little harder to not like prove, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I think my parents were more scared for me in the industry, but if I had a brother, I don't have a brother, but if I had one, I feel like, oh, go off to LA, go to New York, and you know, it's just like, I feel like it wouldn't be that hard for them to let go, and it is a scary world for women, but I don't know, I feel like now it's so much more easier, at least like there's open, honest conversations about like, I could, you know.
I actually really want to know how you were like, I want music and I'm leaving. Like, I want it so
true.
bad that I'm leaving everything.
This is it. I know, right?
Yeah,
Well, number one, I'm stubborn. So when I know what I want, I've already made up my mind. But since I was young, I always wanted to, I was interested in fashion designing. At some point, I wanted to be an astronaut. At some point, I wanted to be an anthropologist because I loved studying about the world and learning about different cultures. But then I realized that art is the reason we know about all the cultures. Like if you go 5,000 years ago, Sumerians existed because they carved onto their walls and they wrote language for the first time on tablets.
Right.
Language is also a form of art, anything of expression. So when you want to learn something about a country or a history or something, you know it because of language, because of photos, because of music, and because of paintings. It preserves human history. So I was just like, you know what? This is it. I'm an artist, and I always wanted to dance. And after I came to America, and I realized that my family situation, everything was tough. I realized that was the one place I actually found happiness, and nothing could take it away from me. That's like one thing that's mine, and I felt so safe in it. And I was like, this is what I want to do, and I want to be able to learn how to help other people also find their voice, because I feel like as Nepali people, if I never moved to America, I would have never dreamed of doing what I do now. And I wanted to be that person who can I know we were kind of running out of time, but one thing I must say, I have an incredible one thing. I had an amazing professor at Berklee, and he knew I was the first Nepali woman at Berklee, and he was like, okay, maybe your thing should be that you are the first, but you don't want to be the last. And I was like, you know what? That's so impactful. And ever since then, I've been even more passionate. So that was the whole story. Sorry.
I'm just here like literally learning from you. This is a podcast, but also a learning session for Pari. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel like all of our journeys are so different.
Yeah.
You were born here. You already had a profession in China. I came straight from Nepal, and I came to America at the age of 14. So I luckily got to go to high school here. In high school, I was exposed to music and choirs and in high school, I was a part of chamber choir, and we performed for President Obama and stuff. That kind of helped me with my application to Berklee. But a lot of times I hear this, even Nepali people say, once people go to America, they just hold on to their Nepali identity, and they try to treat it as a bad thing. But the fact that America is a melting pot of all cultures, everybody has their own story and roots. So when you represent yourself at a school, a lot of times, especially at Berklee, where nobody knew any other Nepali person, and every time I said, hi, I'm Astha and I'm from Nepal, all the professors would be like, I've never met anybody from Nepal.
Right.
So at that time, that's when I finally realized how important it was to represent Nepal and my culture and talk about Nepal, because when people say putting Nepal on a map, I didn't even realize that people didn't know the map did not exist at a school like Berklee, because people don't do music. So that's one thing, but also, like I said earlier, music preserves our history, our story. So it would be impossible for us to talk about our stories without talking about the fact that we come from a place, especially a place where women still don't have as much freedom as we do here, or where artists and musicians don't have the same opportunities and platforms that they do here. So it becomes even more important to tie ourselves to our identity back to Nepal.
Yeah, I didn't even know how impactful it would have been to even speak about being Nepali until like people were like, I didn't know where Nepal was. I like didn't know what Nepali culture looked like.
Some of them never heard of the name of the country.
Like it really is so like representation in any art form is so important, and we're seeing so much of that. There's like, remind me of her name, the artist in Boston.
Ssnyamita Shrestha, Imagine.
God, yes, that was so cool.
But there's so many different art forms, like you're saying, where like Nepali people, there's so many talented Nepali people in all art forms. It's just a matter of people showing a little limelight, you know, and like through like creating communities and like bringing each other together.
Yeah, it was crazy for me because, you know, when I first got into Berklee, someone told me that I was the first Nepali woman to get in. And I was like, oh, okay. And they, like, at orientation. And I don't know, maybe it's because, did you already have an American citizenship or something when you applied?
Yes, at the time I was already.
I was like, oh, okay. Because, like, and that kind of became my identity around the people. And which was cool also because, like, I do like Nepali Indian music a lot more.
Yeah.
So, and when I was in the Indian ensemble, I was like the only Nepali person and everybody else was Indian. And then they had the idea of being like, oh, let's be more inclusive and make it the South Asian. So it's so cool. Like, it's so cool to be like the first of some, like, you know, just like being here is such a big step that we don't even realize.
Yeah.
There isn't anybody else. That's like, this is it, you guys. Isn't that crazy?
It is insane.
Just think about it. Remember I was talking about how art preserves history? In a global, like when people later much like 50, 100 years later, when they're looking at what this world was producing globally, you will know K-pop, like you will know J-pop, you will know all of these other countries exist because of its impact in the art, in the entertainment and art industry. And that is why I feel like it is so important to be the representatives of like our group, our culture, and the other thing is that representation really matters.
Yeah.
So seeing another Nepali person do something really inspires other people to do it, or seeing a woman be bold and, speaking out loud and not being apologetic inspired me to be so. And
it's just us. Like, I didn't realize it was representation because I love wearing Nepali stuff. I love adding hints and like, you know, like wearing, like trying to fuse those cultures together. But I'm fusing those cultures together because I am Nepali American.
Yeah.
And like that's why I am Nepali American. I'm not Nepali and I'm not American. I am both those things. So people are like, whoa, that's so cool that you can bring those two things in together. And people were like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. But it's like, it's all I've ever done. It's just like who I am as a being. Yeah. And then like people being like, what you're doing is helpful and it's cool. It's so validating. Yeah. Also, because there's so little, it does like when it comes to like musical identity or your musical journey, that does fuel my journey. And it's like I can see that like we are paving the way or whatever, or like, you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah. I find that like when I'm doing shows, especially as a Nepali American, because I was born here, but Nepali was my first language. My Nepali still isn't crystal clear. It's not perfect, but I am Nepali and I love speaking Nepali. I love Nepali music. I'm not gonna compromise me singing Nepali music because my accent is not that good. But it's met with, as you guys both know, a lot of controversy sometimes with like Nepali not being perfect.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like that's my identity. I'm Nepali American for like reason. Like my Nepali does not come across as authentic to Nepali people, and then my Americanism isn't as authentic to American people. So it's like
I think you shouldn't even feel anything like that because I grew up in Nepal to like I mean, you know, most of my life. But because actually in schools, like a lot of private schools, they push English so much. Right. We had a fine for talking in Nepali. Like in I was in St. Mary's, it's like a Catholic school, and they push Nepali so hard, English so hard that it's almost like shaming for talking in your own language. So my Nepali was like so much worse than my other friends in China when I studied their first architecture. They used to make fun of me so much. They used to be like, you don't know, like it was like such a joke. So I get like, you know, it's not even, don't feel like that because I think it's almost a cultural thing. Even I mean Nepali बोल्दाखेरि we speak so much English, like we have so much English words in cameras. शुद्ध नेपाली धेरै बोल्ने मान्छेहरू धेरै नै छैन.
Right.
So don't like, I don't think you should feel like that.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's just met online.
I know,
Like there's just so many.
It must be so hard being
online.
so young and
Yeah.
hearing so many opinions from different kinds of people.
When I'm trying my best, like
Exactly.
and if anything,
First of all, don't let it get to you.
Yes,
They have
it
no
does,
idea what they're
yeah.
talking
I'm just
about.
speaking this out to the world so
Yeah.
that like when you're seeing someone who is young, I just turned 19 years old, trying to preserve Nepali culture by maybe singing a Nepali song or like speaking a little bit of Nepali in a video, like
Being born here.
yes, like you know, a lot of Nepali people who are or American kids who are born here with Nepali parents don't even speak Nepali because maybe they didn't learn it at home a lot. But I took the time. I wanted my mom and baba to teach me, so I really made sure that I learned Nepali. It's kind of discouraging, like when people don't like the way that my Nepali sounds. It's like you know what I mean? I'm not gonna stop speaking Nepali because you said it. But it's just like I'm confused as to why people wouldn't be excited to see someone in younger generations trying to preserve Nepali music or Nepali language like in the US.
Like they are such haters. I didn't even realize that you never like. I swear, I can't tell. You don't have an accent.
I know.
Don't
You
listen
speak
to
better
that.
Nepali than I do. But talking about Nepali women in the industry, I must say one thing. Being a woman in the music industry is already hard. No matter where you are, all over the world. But being a Nepali woman in the industry is even harder because, first of all, I've been a full-time musician for a very long time now. And like, I've been in the field for so long. And sometimes I still feel it, you know, I still feel the fact that I'm foreign and then I'm Nepali and then I'm a woman. And these are the ways how I feel it. First of all, when you walk in to a gig, all the band members are boys and you're the only woman. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people don't think you know what you're doing. So, you know, sometimes people will be like, oh, did you know that this happens? Oh, did you know you use this cable for this? Oh, do you have a mic? It looks like this. Do you know this cable? It kind of looks like this. And I'm like, yes, I know. I'm a professional. I know how to do everything that anybody would know in this, whether it's a guy, a girl, or anybody in between. But when you're a woman, they suddenly just assume, that you may not know something. And that's just I don't know why, but that's the thing. Also, in Nepal, when I was in Nepal, and you're much younger, but when I was in Nepal, I wasn't really allowed to leave the house unless it was with my brother. That means women don't have a lot of opportunities unless they're around men or men with their families. They're not allowed to go out. They're not allowed to, like, to be an artist and a musician, you need to be out there having experiences, going to a studio, trying new things. But in Nepal, women are taught to be so docile and obedient and quiet and modest and not too loud, don't take up too much space. Whereas when you're an artist, you have to be in the front and you have to take up space and to be confident and not care about what people say. So it's kind of contradictory. It's not, what you call it, it goes against the way that Nepal raises women, goes against what I feel is true freedom that comes from being an artist.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to find that balance and really speak up for yourself and say, no, I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to do it like this. And that's what it means to be an artist in the first place. So those are the things that I found. That was like the big impact. I mean, a big, what do you call it? That was my experience being a Nepali woman.
Yeah.
And that's just a little bit of it. Like I could go on and on forever. This is a heavy topic.
Yeah. And I think like this is a different perspective and kind of side note, but like being raised by a Nepali woman who I think my mom was, so sick of that society in Nepal, had raised me with the mindset that you can't let anyone speak over you, that your voice is allowed to sit on top of others. You know what I mean? That I can like...
You're so lucky to have that.
And like, I think that our parents are huge influences on who we are, may or may not be, but like they still have a really big influence on us. And I just got really lucky that my mom let me speak up for myself, even at home. And I think it starts at home where like, you know, to feel the confidence to speak up and to be able to, like have your own voice. If you can do it at home, then you can do it outside. But if you can't do it at home, you have to learn out in the world how to like use your voice in that way.
If you don't mind me adding one more thing, that is why I think it is so important for everybody here in this room as Nepali women, the only 3 Nepali women so far to have been at Berklee, it is so important for us to be on a unapologetically us and be incredible artists in our own ways. Because if you think about it, we come from a lineage of Nepali women that have never had the opportunity to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so many women before us have been silenced. There have been a lot of male artists in Nepal that were able to do what they wanted to because they are men. But America, Manse, we have this freedom and privilege, so it might at this time feel like, oh, there's so many other people like me. But to a certain extent, we're trailblazers. And I feel like we have such a responsibility to show other, not just Nepali women, whether it's Asian women or just women around us, that, you know, you can actually follow your dreams and be an artist. And being an artist, art influences people.
Yeah.
And so we have that power to do that. So I think as a Nepali woman in the music industry, I feel like that's something I'm always thinking about as well.
Yeah.
No, but in terms of like parents being supportive and stuff, even though my parents were supportive, they're so scared of like, you know, outside things like harming you and stuff. So they just become like, they want me to do these things. Like they're like, okay, yeah, go record this song, go meet these people, but then be home by 9.
Right.
And then it's like, it's just them being protective. It's not even them not wanting me to do what I want, but it's so hard to do that there just because of the society. And it's like, just, NEWCHI.
Like asking for help, whether it's even financially, like at school, at Berklee is extremely, extremely expensive. To go to any university is extremely expensive, especially as an international student. But even as someone who's born in the US, affording Berklee College of Music has been insanity. And I just found myself asking anyone that could help me, either even find someone else who can help me figure out a solution to pay for the school. Like now, and because there's so little Nepali people at Berklee, I'm wondering like, what is it that's why there isn't many Nepali students who are going to Berklee? And maybe it's financially, like, I don't know. The reason why...
I actually work for the admissions, like I'm a student ambassador and we do the auditions and admissions. So the thing is, they have so many international like auditions. Like I auditioned in Shanghai myself, right? There's so many, but they don't go to Nepal. One, they don't. And two, you have to apply for it online. And the application fee itself is a lot, like dollars to Nepali ma convert gardaheri. So that's there. Another thing is music pursue for real. And then the scholarship amounts that you get, even when you get like 60%, for example, it's still so much that I don't think people can, like, I think affordability is a big thing. Pursuing music as a career is the next one. But I still think you should try, because the more niche it is and more, like, you know, these universities want to seem diverse. They want to seem like, so if you're good and you practice and you audition, just go for it. And if you get in, you know, you once you get your foot in the door, like that's what I did. I didn't get any scholarships when I auditioned, and I came and I was like, it's okay.
I'll figure it out.
Like, please, mom, dad, you know. And then once I got in, I was like, asking is the like, you feel awkward, but it doesn't matter. You're a student. You want to make this happen for yourself. And
I feel like anytime I've gotten anything that I like really wanted is from just we were just talking about this, like just completely like annoying them, like inserting myself into every conversation, into every room with the president, the dean, the financial advisor, like, because I know I wanted to be here and I couldn't afford it. But I know I needed to be here. You know what I mean? And then, but that's just like frustrating, because already telling your parents that you want to go to music school and then fighting for like financially to be here by yourself, like it's just so...
It's a lot,
It's a lot. It's frustrating. But the fight is worth it.
It is.
Right? It is worth it, because now...
in this community is like incredible. Like there's a thing where there's a joke, like you throw a pencil and just if it hits someone, that person will have perfect pitch. Like you're in that like environment, you know, like everybody's so talented. It's crazy. So.
Yeah. Well, I personally would say do a lot more you can outside of Berklee. Berklee is a great place, but it's a bubble. And since I know I was originally mentored by a lot of Berklee alumni, and currently faculty members at Berklee mentored me before, because I didn't really go to school between 18 and 24. I worked heavily with musicians and stuff. So I would say that I have currently work with a lot of musicians. Sometimes I hire musicians. I work with agencies. they don't really care about a Berklee degree.
No.
Like, you could go up to a label and say, hey, I just graduated Berklee, give me a job, and they'll literally laugh at you, because the arts, entertainment, and music, it's such a different world. You can have a music degree and teach music, but you might not be guaranteed a show or a performance or an album or whatever. So the most important thing, if I'm talking to aspiring musicians and artists, it doesn't really matter exactly what school you go to, because right now we live in a world with social media and TikTok and Instagram and all of those things. One thing I know that was good about Berklee is that I wouldn't be who I am today without it, I must say, because I got in, I had the privilege to go in, and I went. What changed the most about Berklee was not the education. It was the networking. It was the people that I met. Like you said, you could throw a pencil and it'll hit a perfect pitch. I didn't know that my pitch was so, like, I could recognize notes so well until I went to Berklee and I got the actual formal education that I realized I'm actually not bad, because I didn't even know where to place myself. So it's a really good thing to do that. So I would heavily recommend people to maybe take music classes, music lessons, and learn how to read music, but be heavily involved in your community.
Absolutely.
Before I came to Berklee, I had, like I said, performed for Obama and da-da-da-da-da. Those things really helped me get more gigs because I already had experience on field like you have. And sometimes, people, it's funny because people get a performance degree at school and may not have enough performance experience. So don't get tied up in, I have to get a degree. That comes from this other world of this industrialization world where you need a degree, and then basically people are sending you to school to be workers and sheep. The arts, and it's not like that. So we can't go thinking like that. However, an education is important. So do as much as you can outside of Berklee, because once you graduate, you're back into in the real world outside of the safety of the things of Berklee. That's all I have to say.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I think for people who live in the U.S., like Nepali Americans, young people who want to pursue music, I think that's a collective stress is like, where do I start? In the industry, it's like, I love music, I love singing, but my parents are already iffy about it. So how can I prove to them that prove to myself, like, what is the next step? I think for me, after doing The Voice, I felt that same stress as well. It's like, okay, this gave me things, but like, where do I move? I think college, for even non-music students, like when people don't know what to do, college is like in such a perfect place to even figure it out. So like,
it gives you direction.
It gives you direction. So I think in that way, where like outside experience will become has been more important to me than the stuff I'm learning inside Berklee right now. But like in the midst of what I'm learning in college, as college itself has like allowed me to have so much self-exploration and like figure out what it is that I want within my own artistry, and like, you know what I mean? So I just feel like it's such a good next step.
Absolutely.
For students.
Yeah, but I also want to say, like, when we think of music, like music school, I don't know, even me, before I came to Berklee, you think that it's just all like everybody's performing, everybody's just want to be the next big thing or something. But there's so many aspects in Berklee. You can do music education, you can do music therapy, you can do music business, you can do engineering, we're doing production,
Right.
So there's actually so many things you can do, and that's what's so great about Berklee. And if you want to go and attain this degree, that might, if you go on STEM, for example, the degree might actually help you get a job. But it depends on the aspect of the music.
Can I add something to that? You bring such a good point, because a lot of times Nepali parents or Asian parents, whatever, they encourage you not to do music because they think that the only way to make money from music is being famous, and then you do drugs and all that. But to be honest, if you really just think about the world, the arts and entertainment industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, if like close to pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals is probably the top, right? But the arts and entertainment industry has so much money. Where does that money come from? Where does it go? If you follow that trail, you'll realize that there are so many jobs in the entertainment industry, from stage managers to lighting techs to sound engineers to mixing engineers. And these are like, they're engineers, you have to study science and all of those things. So, and you said music therapy and arts therapy, the actual industry is so big that you will find a spot for you if you really want it. And there's so many opportunities to make money.
And I think that within doing school, working on socials, and like, even if you can't afford to come to Berklee and you going to music school isn't an option for you, as you were saying, posting videos of you singing on socials and doing shows around your area, like those are just as good as experiences as
building a community.
Yeah. I really, really, really love Bipul Chetri's music. I just think it's just like, it's like soul music. Like it just feels good to listen to. And I just love like acoustic music. Like it's very similar to like Sufjan Stevens, just like guitar, like layers of guitar. Like I just think his music is beautiful. I think Bartika's lyrics and like her as a lyricist, I think she's absolutely, absolutely wonderful. And Sajan Rajvaidya, I think like what he's doing marketing wise and like this like new pop sort of music that he's releasing is really cool. And he's a friend and he's great. Yeah.
Honestly, you took like two of them.
I know, I was about to say, yeah.
I mean, Bipul Chetri, for sure. Especially like usually we don't have like horns and stuff like that in Nepali pop music. And I love that he introduced these elements to the songs. And it was so cool to hear that.
Such cool layers in his music.
I love his, the layering of like just the production vibes.
So good.
Oh my God, I love his music. And to go like classic, because I love like vocal, like Nepali vocal. I mean, Narayan Gopal. It's like his songs and just the oldies that you sing and it's just like home to me. Because my family, everybody sings. So it's like, that's
really?
one of my favorite. Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's cool. That's cool.
I would say actually Bipul Chetri too. I mean, his music is incredible. It's just as an artist, just globally, I think his music is good. It doesn't matter Nepali or not.
Yeah.
And again, we were driving here and I was talking to you about how Bartika is an incredible lyricist. I love how she writes. But you said favorite artist, and I always want to make sure I drop this name because a lot of people don't know her. Her name is Dechen Lama or something, and she's an actress, actually, and she has been in some incredible movies and Netflix shows, and she's a Nepali artist, but, you know, she never gets a Nepali recognition because she's working in such a larger scale. So, yeah, and, you know, that makes me think, like, Bipul Chetri was all of our favorite artists. I mean, we actually don't know that many Nepali artists too, you know. So this is such a new industry, Panini Nepalma.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is making me think about that. Let me just add one more person. Oh my God, Ani Choyang Dolma.
Oh
you know
my
why?
God.
You know why?
Of course.
Because when I was a little girl and I saw a freaking monk, a nun, a Buddhist monk, becoming a pop star, I was like, anybody can do. Like, you know, she broke so many. She's obviously a pioneer in that. Like, I don't know any other monks that travel the world touring, singing.
Really cool.
And that's when I was like, she's a woman and she's a monk.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I can do whatever I want
and
to.
And she's doing incredible work. Like, she did the Coke Studio with A.R. Rahman.
Yeah. All of that
like
stuff.
She's doing amazing work.
What I find inspiring is people and people's stories. Even at Berklee, one thing about Berklee is that there are workshops. Those are always way more important than the classes, I feel like, because I would sometimes leave classes to go to workshops, and they bring these incredible speakers and artists and all these things. And people inspire me the most. Art inspires and history inspired me the most. But this one woman, she was a scientist at NASA, and she stopped working at NASA and quit her job to be a musician. And then she developed those Mimu gloves that Imogen Heap uses.
Oh, yeah.
She's the inventor of these gloves, but she was originally a scientist at NASA, and that's how she was able to create these gloves. And the reason she created these gloves was, if you Google Kepler's harmonics, back in the day, like way back, science, music used to be studied as a part of science and not just entertainment, because the law of harmonics, it follows the laws of physics, right? So they found some planets in our solar system based on the laws of based on Kepler's harmonics, the laws of Kepler's harmonics, because they were like, based on the laws of harmonics, there should be another object here, and there was, and that's how they. So I got to see a workshop by this lady at Berklee, and I forget her name right now, and she did a demonstration of these gloves, and she was sitting like 5 feet away from me at the Berklee Red Room, and I was like, oh. my goodness, this is what I needed, because I was at Berklee thinking maybe I'm at the wrong place, because I'm not just passionate about music. I'm passionate about the world and women's issues and this and science. And I looked at this woman, and she didn't really have a plan. She wasn't like, I'm going to be a famous musician or I'm going to be the greatest scientist. She followed her heart and let her take her where it took her. She just let her, go with the flow, and she became the inventor of this new instrument, right? So that's what inspires me the most. And looking back, if I were to talk to my younger self and give her some advice, that I would tell her to like go out and find more people and more stories like these, like, different kinds of people. Because a lot of times I feel like we look around and we try to latch onto something that's more familiar and comfortable. But
we're allowed to be multifaceted.
Yeah, but we're allowed to be multifaceted. We don't always have to stick to the norm. Yeah. We don't always have to be an artist that everyone else is being. Yeah. By going out of your comfort zone, by leaving your, like traveling and meeting different kinds of people, and sometimes even maybe having a conversation with people you don't agree with, those are the things that really changed me, and that things that help me evolve. So I would tell my younger self to do more of those.
Yeah, for me, I'm just thinking in terms of music. Yeah. But like people performing and just looking at live music and art, like it inspires me so much. Like the day I see a concert and I go home, I'm like, oh my God, like it's just so in its pure form. Like that person, sometimes, when you do a gig and you're like, oh, for 30 minutes, that's like, you don't understand how much work is put into that, like that concert, like that much, So I love seeing like a full, like the final product of something that people have been working on for years and years, and so many people have been working on like light, like sound, and that's like my biggest thing. So I love going to shows. I just saw Jacob Collier, and I was just like, oh my God, like just like
the
that
prep
really
for tour too is just
like the amount of talent on stage, just like that really inspires me. I just love the rush. It's almost like a like a hit of something. Like it's awesome. That's really inspiring. And for 5 years ago, for me, like what I would say is I would learn more theory. Because I feel like I'm so sorry. I know that we've said like I'm so like
I would say the same, because we didn't grow up with music theory enough. That was my weak point as well. Because you go to Berklee, and most students at Berklee come from a very well-off family. They're privileged. They've had music lessons since they were like 6 months old, and then that's why, first of all, I'm so proud of us that we come from a place where there's like literally no musical education whatsoever, like access. Like we only learn how to sing some songs in Madhwa. There's no musical theory and stuff. But at Berklee, you're going to school with people that have had access to anything and everything since they were born, So that's music theory. I would tell myself to learn music theory as well.
Me 5 years ago, I would tell myself, younger self, I'm still young.
You were a baby. Yeah.
Baby, I was like 7. No, but like I would tell myself to like fall in love with the process. I think like I'm still learning to do that now, but like to me in my hometown, I was so like, I need to go to Berklee and I need to get out of here and But like then I started thinking about, like you're just talking about lessons. My parents, when I was like 4 years old, I told them that's when I was like, I want to do music, like music. So they got me like a piano teacher. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, and they, I'm gonna cry. They paid for like this piano teacher, and they paid him like $10 for like to give me lessons, and like I would like complain, and I was just like, I don't know, but I'm just so. So like for the first six years of my life, I was like learning how to do piano, and like they were giving me lessons from this guy who would like just like loved to teach, and my parents they knew that I loved it, and I was just such a brat, like ew, I was such a brat. But I loved it, and I loved him, but he was like, you're not a piano player, girl, you're a singer, so stop taking piano lessons. So then I stopped taking piano lessons, but like it was always just like, no, not piano, singing, and now. Not just local gigging. I wanna, like when I was like 12, I found out about NPR, and I was so convinced I was gonna like get my own NPR, and like so I'm gonna NPR. And I was just looking so far forward, but like you know what I mean? Like I was doing so well, and like I had a band, and like I was performing, and like when I look back, I'm like, for the time and for the age, like you were so far ahead. Yet, like at that age, I'm already thinking far ahead.
Enjoy the moment.
Enjoy the moment. Like this process is so beautiful, and it's never ending. It's always a process. Even when I'm 40, even if I win Grammys and whatever, there's no end point to where I'm supposed to be, where you're supposed to be. Like, I am in love with the process. I think coming to Berklee has really allowed me to like, this is so much fun. Making music, being in the studio, coming up with marketing and like all this is so much fun.
That makes me want to say something, like a message to the artists, is that, you know, that happens with artists a lot, right? That like we're forced to feel that way. But if you think about it, there are so many incredible doctors and athletes in the world, right? But when it comes to art, we feel the need to like be the best or like be this and be that. But you truly won't be able to enjoy the journey and find out your true self and true sound until you just love the process and enjoy making art and do it for the fact that you want to create art. And
yes, and I think that's like, I'm trying to figure out what authenticity means to me. Because what I love in my favorite artists and my favorite performers is that they are authentic. And the only way that you can be authentic is if you just let yourself go within
and just create
in that process and not just like, you know what I mean? Like if I just think about the end goal, I want NPR, so I'm gonna do this video, and I'm gonna do this, then you're just caught up. But if you just let those things go and you do it with love and you like fall in love with it, then you're authentic and people will be drawn to you.
I just have to say, you are so smart for your age. Like you're so insightful.
I know.
You're doing great, and I'm so glad that you can already recognize that. Oh, why was I being like that? Like I was doing great. So that's so important.
Thank you. I also find it extremely inspiring that you just dug up that love for music in Shanghai while you were working as an architect. Like I think that it's extremely, extremely admirable. You just like age dropped to me, and like I was like, what the heck? You have this like, you know what I mean? I was
hilarious. She was like, you're 21. I was like, no.
She's like, guess how old I am? I said, you're like, you just turned 22.
Yeah.
Before I forget something, I'm just gonna tag in. It's kind of with the other question and this question, something I'm working on and something that draws inspiration. I wrote a song with my friend and it's called To Be Loved. And it's like, the idea of that was like non-Western ways of showing love, because like what love looked like to me as a child, the way that my parents love each other. They love each other, but it was an arranged marriage. And it's so different than like how my friends' parents, how like the way I've seen love has affected the way that I love and that like love looks like in my life. And I feel like in the music industry here and the songs that are written in the US or like, you know, released in the US, there's just like such a Western way of like, right? Western, US, that's what I mean, right? Yeah. This Western way of like, people falling in love and like what love looks like to them. So I decided to write a song that's like the way that I viewed love, which is like a Nepali, South Asian type of love, which looks different to me. It feels different to me. And I think that like in my writing, I'm realizing that I do draw a lot of inspiration from like this viewpoint of a Nepali American, of Nepali parents, but also like what, in comparison to like this American life that I also experience. And yeah, like love is such a beautiful thing, but it looks so different in the way that our Nepali parents love each other or they don't, or, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think I'm excited about that song. It's like, then I'm going to release it in the summer and I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Nice. Can't wait for it. First of all, I have to say this because it's so important. When we look at American music, that I didn't know what it was and where it came from. And again, American music came from a rebellious act, right? So we can't forget the fact that America was built on genocide and slavery. Yeah. And blues music comes from Black people. And rock comes from blues music, and most Nepali, everything comes from Black music. But as a Nepali person coming from Nepal, like rock like the trend of rock. Everything comes from rock, like all Nepali pop music, and it's either R&B, it's either rock. But then I think that people don't really understand where it comes from and what it is. Like, you need to understand what rock music is. You need to understand what R&B music is. And maybe also understand what Nepali music is and try to fuse them together. But it is so important to understand where things come from. Like, if you hear somebody say Buddha was born in India, all Nepali people get mad. Just like that, when we make R&B music and jazz music and rock music, we also, as Nepali people, need to understand the pain and the history behind it, so that we can represent it right.
Yeah.
You know, so the people know where it comes from. So knowing where things come from is so important, because then what happens is people will be like, oh, this music comes from this artist, and then this artist learned it from this. And so you can trace blues, you can trace R&B, you can trace pop to its creators, and you can give credit where it's due. Because there's Guru Bhakti and all that. But I feel like now, because everybody in Nepal wants to make modern music, and modern music is American music, and American music is black music, there is a disconnect because people don't know that. I think we need more education, and not just musical theory and the stuff, but what it means to be an artist, what it means to be music. Why is arts important? All significant changes and civil rights movements and all of these important movements in the world are always started by someone in the industry, someone as an artist or someone who's a musician, because musicians have that space. So I feel like in Nepal we need to really take it seriously and know the power of this industry, the power of that music has to spread love or to spread education or to ignite change, social change. It's such an important thing. And we can't just be doing it whatever we want to with it because there is an industry and we can just tour. Like, there has to be more meaning to it. And I feel like that's something I would love to do. And I've always wanted to start a school in Nepal to empower the youth and LGBTQ and women, but that's never happened. But that's, you know, if I could change one thing in the industry, I would like start with that and try to create our own sense of culture and our own sense of identity in music instead of just copying the rock progressions. You know what I'm talking about?
Just like piggybacking off on that point, I think it's also very important to doctrinate our music first.
Exactly.
Because धेरै छैन नेपाली ललित कला छ लाइक धेरै इन्स्टिट्युसनै भएन नेपाली म्युजिक पढ्नलाई पनि हाम्रो नेपाली म्युजिक ठ्याक्क भनेर के छ लाइक अब म बर्कलीमा आउँदाखेरि देयर आर सो मेनी इन्डियन स्टुडेन्ट्स एन्ड दे हेभ सच आइडेन्टिटी टु देमसेल्भ्स लाइक oh I'm from Karnataka so मेरो म्युजिक यो and the Hindustani and the Karnataka having like oh my music is better like they have such definition of मेरो यसमा यो गर्छ यसमा यो राग गर्छ यस्तो हाम्रोमा त्यस्तो लाइक राम्ररी डेफिनेसन भए पनि इन्ड्रक्टिनेटेड छैन कि अनि हामीले पढ्न पाउँदैन सो इभन when I wanted to learn it's like so त्यो चाहिँ like I agree learning राम्ररी हामीले like provide हुनु पर्यो information राम्ररी let's indoctrinate our things and learn our things and once we know what it is then we can go to rock and jazz and, you know like it's so important. I think that's something that's missing for sure.
Arts has power, Kate. Like an artist can influence somebody to do drugs. An artist can also influence somebody to change their lives and support some, you know, good causes. So at any moment something has influence on people, it has power. And sometimes it can be misused or mistreated. But also sometimes people only do it because there's power or fame. Sometimes people, you know what I mean? And because there's no formal or foundation in Nepali industry for entertainment and music, anything can happen and anybody can do anything. So we need some kind of order so that people have opportunity, so that I don't have to come to America to be who I am today. I'm really happy with who I am today and what I do, but I would not be able to do this if I didn't have this access. So if we start there, I think we'll be able to give more access and opportunities, right?
I also think like, I feel like my take on what to change in the Nepal industry, even though I was not born in Nepal, I feel like I don't know enough women who are like releasing music and are like making music in Nepal. You know what I mean? Like names wise, like that's a me thing. And I just feel like I don't know where I'm going that.
No, it's
I'm dropping
true.
that.
When I produced I released a song and I produced it myself, and the producer who I was working with was like, "You're the only Nepali female producer I know." So yeah, like representation in female for sure. That needs to be changed, 100%. Yeah.
And about future projects, that was, I think, our final. That was the last question of it. Ooh, I got a lot, but. Definitely tune in to NEWCHI sessions. We're starting those, and I'm so proud of it, because a quick shout out to NEWCHI sessions, because I've been in Boston for about over 10 years. Went to Berklee. I've worked with so many people in the industry, whether it's Grammy, Oscar nods, and stuff, but there's no one in Boston doing what NEWCHI Sessions is currently doing. Another feat for Nepali people, it's like kind of something to be proud of. But that's one of the projects I'm working on. And just like you said, I didn't want to just be a singer. So I focused on, producing, mixing, and editing. And I think that people should, watching at home, if you want to be a musician, don't just focus on one thing. Learn how to mix and produce, at least in the basic level, so you can create content. But for my future things, I will be releasing music from 2 different personas. I have Astha Shrestha, which I'm going to be doing more experimental R&B type music, a bit more avant-garde. But then I have a persona called Z, and she will be releasing, or it's she or they, I'm not quite sure, but they'll be releasing music to foster certain changes that I think I want to see in Nepal. When it comes, so we're going to be singing about women empowerment and sexual liberation for women and all those things as Z. So that's my current
really
future
cool.
projects. Because you know what, art is not always about me. I really want to use it to do something more and maybe see what I can do for women and talk about women's stories
taking
and stuff.
yourself out. Like, that's really cool concept.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's really cool.
And it's easy to do that when you have a character.
Yeah,
It's like,
I love that.
this is what she wants,
You're taking yourself out of it. That's really cool.
What about you guys?
Yeah. I'm recording this EP during the summer.
Nice.
Because, I have access to Berklee studios and amazing like producers and engineers.
What kind of music?
It's gonna be Nepali music, and one of the songs that I'm gonna do is gonna be my uncle's song. He used to be a musician, and I'm like reharming everything and
really
doing it again. So I'm super excited about it.
Wow, this might be the first Nepali EP
out of Berklee.
out of Berklee.
Yeah, that's
Looking
cool.
forward to it.
Yeah, I want to do like a recording session in the Shames like studios and everything. So yeah.
Make your mark, girl. Make your mark. Mark that territory.
Yes.
Nepal ko dyan. Studio. I'm kidding.
I'm releasing my first single on May 17th, and I'm really, really excited about it. And I already spoke about To Be Loved. To Be Loved is the next project that I have, which is about like non-Western way of showing love. What love looked like in my life, which is like, Nepali parents who were like technically in arranged marriage, but they are in love. It just looks different than what people write about here. But yeah, I'm just so inspired hearing your stories. So glad we got to do this.
This is great,
Yes,
actually.
I love
Yeah, this is the first time the 3 of us hung out together.
I know.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
But just to like restate it, we are the 3. How do I say that? 3 only people have gone to.
Only three Nepali women so far at Berklee.
And to like reiterate, we have been only the
only 3.
The only 3 Nepali. And to reiterate, we're the 3 only Nepali women who have attended Berklee.
Yeah.
Crazy. Boom.
Trailblazers.
Yeah. I had such a nice experience getting to hear about your stories. Like, I've known that you 2 had been one of the only Nepali women at Berklee, but like firsthand hearing about it felt so inspiring, because like you're graduating and you're leaving and like you're no longer here with us either, and like I feel like I'm like I feel inspired to continue on to go to Berklee, and I hope that other Nepali women, Nepali people come to Berklee and join me.
Yes, we need more of you. We need more Nepali people doing this.
Yeah.
I had so much fun here too. Thank you so much for having us here.
Yeah, Yes, thank you so much. This was so fun. This is really the first time we're all hanging out.
This actually is, and I actually want to talk more. We have so many more things to tell you, but hopefully you can have us back.
Yeah.
So people in the comments, if you want to know more about experiences as a music professional and Berklee alumni and current Berklee students, please let us know what you would like to know in the comments below, and we might come back.
And if you like, comment, and subscribe, we'll give you a big hug. I'll give you a nice little hug.
If you like, comment, and subscribe, and actually leave a comment, we will all like your comments if they're positive about us.
Hi, NEWCHI. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about our experiences at Berklee College of Music.
We talked about all things music, life, and Berklee.
Stay tuned to find out more stories and incredible episodes here at NEWCHI TV. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Bye.